Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the November 26, 2003 meeting of the Palm Springs Planning Commission. First thing, if anybody has a cell phone on, we would ask that it be turned off. That it interferes with the TV and causes problems. So we would ask, please, that you turn your cell phones off. Mr. Evans, can we have a report on the posting of the agenda?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The agenda was posted here in accordance with city and state procedures on Friday.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Tracy. That's all right. Welcome. We just started. You're here on time.
Where were you?
Listen, Mark, how about you walking in front of me?
We next have the approval of the minutes of November 19, 2003. And there were four people at that meeting. Diane Morantz, Mark Matthews, Jerry Grentz, Tracy Conrad. So the abstainers will have to be myself, not being present, Ricky Wright, and Larry Hokanadel. Of those who were there, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'd move approval of the minutes of November 19th.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So it passes unanimously with 3 abstentions. This is a time for our public comments. If anyone here wishes to comment on any matter before the Planning Commission, now would be the time to do it. If you're here on a specific item on our agenda, we would prefer that you save your comments until that matter is called. But if you wish to make your comments now, you're welcome to do so. If you have comments to make, we would ask you that you confine your comments to 3 minutes, that you give us your name and address, and that you sign the clipboard at the podium before you leave. Is there anyone here wishing to make a public comment? Yes, sir. We're going to have a public hearing on the Desert Chapel matter. You can save your comment and make it then, or if you would prefer, you can make it now. I will tell you that there's been a request that matter be continued to the December 10 hearing, to December 10, and presumably it will be continued to that date. But if you would prefer to make a comment now and not have to wait around for the matter to be called, because it won't be called till 2 o'clock, you're welcome to make your comment now.
I'd like to, if I could, please.
Certainly.
My name is Ron Youngren. I'm at 911 Arlene Drive, which is in the New Mesquite Greens area, just across from the Bristow flood control channel there. Back in August, when we received notification that of the plan to do the construction at Desert Chapel, we wrote a letter to the Planning Commission regarding our concerns. In that letter, we mentioned basically there's a large fifth-wheel motorhome that's parked along the property. There's another white-type trailer motorhome, and there's also a large cargo container that you'd expect to see on a cargo ship that's probably used for storage. That, of course, is causing some visual blight concerns, and we're looking for some type of remediation or removal of those type of structures. In the past, we've also seen over the last couple of years storage of what looks like old appliances or carts and other equipment. It's basically used as an outlot for storage. And so we're requesting the Planning Commission consider the appropriateness of not only storing it, but perhaps putting up some vegetation or something to screen so people across from the church there and the school won't have to look at the storage in the various containers.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to make a public comment? Seeing none, we have, it's 20 minutes to 2, so we'll close the public comment and move on to our architectural hearing, our architectural approval matters. And then at 2 o'clock, we'll come back to the public hearing items on the agenda. All public hearing, the public hearing items will be called at 2 o'clock. So we have a few minutes here to take up some other matters while we're waiting for 2 o'clock to come. And the first architectural approval item that we have on the agenda is item 8A. This is case 10.466. It's an application by John Westman for a planning commission determination that the vacation of Camino Monte from the eastern property boundary of APN 513-410-030 proceeding westerly to the terminus of Camino Monte is consistent with the general plan circulation element. The subject roadway is adjacent to the property located at 2005 Camino Monte, Section 27. And case 3.2361, this is 8B on the agenda. Application by John Westman for architectural approval to build a stone retaining wall and drainage channel improvements along property fronting 270 West Descanso, R1B zone, Section 27. And these matters were continued from the meeting of November 12, 2003. I have a conflict on that matter and will have to abstain. I'm a partner in a partnership that's selling some land to Mr. Westman, and I have a conflict for that reason.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I also have a conflict on that item since our family business does business with Mr. Westman.
Mr. Chairman, I have to abstain on that item. I'm a partner in a partnership that is selling Mr. Westman property.
Mr. Chairman, I have to abstain because I live within 500 feet of the location.
Mr. Chairman,
Get to draw.
if I could explain to the commission as well as the public, under California state law, when we have conflicts that take the majority of the commission out of an item, like just happened with abstentions, you have to state your abstentions and what it is. We now have 3 planning commissioners on this item that do not have conflicts. What we do is we basically draw by lot 1 planning commissioner that will participate for purposes of a quorum. And under California law, once you are a part of the quorum, you can act and participate in the decision-making. And we've got a little bit different program this week. What we're going to do is I have some marbles. They're all different colors. And the 1 planning commissioner that wins will be drawing the multicolored marble that is predominantly black.
Embalming fluid.
Predominantly blue.
I'm always good, I told you.
No reason to choose.
Did I tell you I was?
Yeah.
Give me one back. I'm
Nice
always
marble.
good.
You're right. I guess it's me now, right? Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I could just
Staff
introduce.
report, please.
Yes, Kathy Marks is the planner that's been working on this item. There's 2 items before you. The first item that she will explain is the determination that the vacation of a portion of Camino Monte is consistent with the general plan. It's a very simple finding, but she'll point out where it is. Camino Monte is not on the general plan circulation element, and all we're asking you to do is say you agree. And that's one of the actions that's before you, and then the other one has to do with the rest of the property. But Kathy will start with Camino Monte and then explain the rest of the improvements.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman and respected members of the commission, I basically need to point out to you the property. It's kind of an interesting, first of all, this portion of Camino, that actually was there's a wash here. This was supposed to be, at one time, a connected roadway, Camino Monte, circling around, Camino Descanso, both exiting on Palm Canyon Drive. But in 1972, that portion over the wash was determined as not buildable, so consequently it was vacated. The applicant is requesting vacation of Camino Monte, the portion right to his property line. That is at 2005 Camino Monte. And basically that is the request, and staff has determined that it is consistent with the general plan since it's not a portion of the circulation element.
Thank you. Any comments from the commission?
So there are no other properties that take access from this. He's going to merge these two lots and the streets in the middle, and it's not a street anyway.
Yes, the only properties that take access to this property are either properties that Mr. Westman owns, Mr. Ely owns, and they're working together on an overall development plan. And then the city also takes access across this property for some hillside properties that we own, and we have an easement. The vacation of the right-of-way will not vacate the easement to the public properties, and before we will approve the actual vacation, we will require that easements to all the properties be in place so there's no confusion in the future. But no other properties take access, and we've in fact vacated previously a portion of Camino Monte, and it's the part that goes over the wash. We figured that's a pretty tough bridge to build long time ago.
Mr. Evans, is there is nothing in the easement area that has anything to do with any trails, any hiking trails?
Well, what we might want to do is answer questions about the easement and then describe the rest of the project, because that's really what's going to cover the trail issues.
Okay.
A quick answer to your question. Currently, the public walks on Camino Monte, goes up onto a dirt road that's a private road, and hikes up that roadway and connects with either the picnic table trail or the lichen trail, depending on where you're going. There are no easements for that walkway that people use on the trail. Part of this project, and it's really been a several-year process, has been to negotiate the construction of a new trail that will provide legal access for people to hike in the mountains, that would connect just outside of the street vacation area, go through the channel, back up out of the channel, and then continue on up on the hillside. It would be a trail that has been designed and laid out by Mike Schuler. Mike Schuler is the trail builder for the Desert Riders. Mike has built the majority of trails probably in the last almost 30 years in the Coachella Valley, as well as in the Northwest, where he's worked on and off for the Park Service as a trail builder. He is the person that the city goes to for trails. He is the person that the Desert Riders go to. He's the person the Sierra Club goes to when they want to talk about how do you build and lay out a trail. Mike's the best. He's laid out a trail, so we would have access. It would be trail access, not roadway access. So you would actually get on a hiking trail and hike your way up the hillside, but it would be separated from the roadway. This is a very complex solution to trying to to try to differentiate trail traffic versus what could be roadway easement traffic and driveway traffic, so that we don't have people walking on the roadway. They would actually be walking and hiking on an equestrian hiking trail. But Kathy's going to go through that. If there's any more questions on the vacation, we can answer those, and then Kathy can point out the trail alignments, and we can certainly answer more questions on how this whole thing fits together.
Do you want us to, do you want a motion on the first item first?
I think we might want to finish any questions on that and then go to the second item before you take action on either
Okay.
one. That way you understand how it fits together, and the public understands, and there are people here that probably want to comment on this item, so we can get all the information to you before you act.
Okay, so if you want to go ahead with the second portion.
Obviously, continuing then on to the second portion of this particular project, what we have here is kind of a multiplicity of actions that have taken place over an almost 4-year period of time. Not going to go into the background detail, but the last action taken in 2002 by this commission asked that a trail was built, or a trail easement was dedicated, that the roadway then consequently could be paved. That was a request by the applicant, and that is to allow for construction further up on the hillside. So consequently, the applicant has done a surveyed trail. It's an actual meets and bounds description and a legal description that has been forwarded to the city attorney for review. And the city will base, of course, our approval upon, as a condition of approval included in your exhibit, at the approval of the city attorney. This yellow line, this map, is kind of a blow-up of just a small portion of this map. The yellow represents the trail as it proceeds from Camino Monte down into the wash, proceeds up the wash, and then up the hillside, cutting across. You can kind of almost see it follows drainage pattern until it finally accesses the Lichen Trail, the trail that's already built. One portion of the request was that we would have 2 access points. Currently, we really don't. There's only people walking up the road. So consequently, now we're asking that, and this was been determined as the point of access, where there would be some type of trail built down into the wash from Camino Descanso to intercept this trail so there could be access from both points. Now, another component of this project that is actually the application is to build a retaining wall between 2 adjacent properties, these 2. They both, this is slightly deceptive, they extend, the property line is this solid black line here. And this is Camino Descanso property, Camino Monte property, both owned by the applicant. There's been a boundary line adjustment to basically move the one property line a little further northwest to allow for a cleaner line here and the trail easement, etc. The retaining wall request is to provide a fill for a potential development of this lot. That would be the intent. And adjacent property has done something very similar, the adjacent property right here. And I provided this photo exhibit just to kind of clarify what I'm talking about. This particular property has a non-conforming illegal structure here that's actually in the wash that would be determined, unsafe if there was actually a flood circumstance. So there's an intent to the retaining wall, and it works with the trail easement, the vacation, and the boundary line adjustment. I've had inquiries from all the neighbors. There's been courtesy letters sent several times in regards to this project. The first was sent last May, and then one about a month ago again. And I do have, and I believe they're here, a couple neighbors that we've met on site, discussed the actual project so we could get an idea in the field exactly how this will work. The adjacent property owner here was very concerned about the impact to his wall, the aesthetics of the potential to fill here, and the structural impact on his wall. The applicant has agreed to lower by 2 feet the proposed wall height, where it actually is going to intersect right here. It would be like proceeding from what we're seeing here is here. And that would make a nice, clean, adjacent wall, and then do basically the same kind of step-up design that is already there. And we feel also that it will be necessary to maintain the same elevation as far as fill in order to not create an unstable kind of relationship with a wall that wasn't designed for that. Other concerns have been from this property owner who was definitely concerned about the narrowing of the channel, and what does that mean hydrologically. We're narrowing a channel, we're going to have swifter water and not as much, not necessarily enough. Well, the applicant has a hydrology study that was conducted on behalf of the city, and that study has indicated a riprap would be necessary on the north and west side of the channel to protect it, and that also acts as a slowing mechanism when you do have a water current through there. Then the water would pool here, and it was a determination by that professional review that the impact to any downflow properties were negligible. And so staff has relied upon that professional opinion. I think, one more neighbor. This particular neighbor does have concerns with this access in the people parking, etc. How are they going to, what's going to happen there? Right now, it's kind of like a little unimproved trail. People just scooch down the side of the wash if they want to walk from the adjacent neighborhood and go down. But most of the traffic comes up this way. And there's enough right-of-way, and in talking with this neighbor, there's not concern in regards to a few vehicles parked in the right-of-way there. So that is something to think about, and we'll see if there's someone here that wants to speak to that concern. Okay. I think that concludes my report, and I certainly welcome to entertain any of your questions.
Thank you. Any commission comments? Yeah, I know. Okay. Yes.
If I could just make a couple of comments on the conditions of approval, just taking a look at them. Condition number 9, we'd like to, the last word, just change that from city attorney to city council. The council will have to approve that agreement. The city attorney will review it, but the council actually approves that type of document. And then number 10, I think we need to also maybe add to that and say, and that condition deals with trail construction preceding the wall construction. I think we also would be concerned that the trail be constructed prior to the final vacation of the roadway, so that the trail's in place and we don't end up with a period of time that there's no trail or public access through that area.
Okay, thank you.
And those types of details we can work out in the trail construction agreement. So these just sets the stage for actually how we memorialize it and then how the council would actually approve the agreement.
I see that the applicant is in the audience. Do you have any comments?
My name is John Westman. I reside at 2005 Camino Monte in Palm Springs. And this has been a very convoluted, difficult situation. It started out having nothing to do with the trail, but because we bought 33 acres up in the hills there about 6 years ago, and we wanted to build a home there for ourselves. And we had a few lots there, and I sold one of the lots to my best friend, Kurt Ely, who you all probably know. And Kurt just has brought through a plan to architectural approval for to start a home in the process up on the 33 acres. The problem was that people had walked up that roadway for quite a while, but they were walking across city land, so they didn't get a right of they can get an easement, a prescriptive easement, because you don't get prescriptive easements over government property. And we had 33 acres up there, and we traded the city some of the lower land for some of the upper land because they didn't want us to build up higher. And so we went through, took a couple years to do that, and then we finally got our tract map that you're looking at the right-hand side there, and we submitted that to the city a couple years ago. And the Planning Commission really wanted us to provide a trail, so we went back and talked to the neighbors who owned the property on Camino Descanso, because we thought maybe we could put the trail down the wash, because I didn't want the trail on the roadway because they could walk right behind my house. You know, they're in my garage, my backyard, 20 feet away from my house right now when they walk by there, which isn't very good. So the idea was to put the trail down in the bottom of the wash there, but we couldn't get the owner that owned that property to give us an easement for a trail because they thought it would devalue the property. So then Kurt and I had to buy the property. It's getting really complicated now. And then we found out that the property in the front on Camino Descanso was like 10 feet off the property line, and so there was no room in the front yard because it had been built a long time ago. Maybe we'll come back with you and ask for that road to be cut down to 30 or 40 feet next. I don't know. Anyway, so we landed up buying the property, working with the city to put a trail down in the wash, which was on the Camino Descanso property. Wanted to probably put the trail on my property, so we did a lot line adjustment, and that's what you're looking at also. And then we wanted to be able to build a little bit on that house, on that property, so we could hopefully resell the property and get some of our money back. And that's why we're requesting the wall there. The wall would actually start at the same elevation as our neighbor's wall and step up as you went away from that wall, similar to what theirs do. We would not backfill against their wall because their wall is a garden wall and you can't do that. So we wouldn't be raising the level beyond what that is existing there along their wall. And currently there is no public access up into that area. Hopefully if this all gets resolved, there will be public access. So that's how we got here. It's taken 6 years. Any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Westman.
Thanks.
Is there anybody else that's here on this item today? Yes, sir. Come forward. Be sure you sign your name on the clipboard before you leave.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Franklin Burns. We live at 295 West Camino Carmelita, the property directly north of the Descanso property. And we certainly encourage our neighbors to improve their property, which I believe Mr. Westman is doing with the proposed wall. And I note that one of the conditions of approval, number 4, does limit that to 6 feet, which continues the pattern of the other wall adjacent to our property on Descanso. Certainly the wall will have some impact on the let's say, naturalness of the area. But at 6 feet, I think that this is acceptable. My one concern was the water flow, but in talking with Kathy and going over the engineering study, certainly the riprap will slow down the water. I still have some slight concern about the impact on our portion of the wash just downstream from the Descanso property, and would like to voice that concern at this time. Where do I sign?
The clipboard there, yes. Thank you,
Very
Mr.
good.
Burns.
Thank you for your consideration.
Anybody else wishing to speak on this item?
I'd like to clarify something. That wall starts at 6 feet along our easterly boundary, close to the gentleman just speaking's property line is. But like the wall, our neighbor's wall, as it comes west, as you come up the hill, it steps up the hill. It goes up and then it steps up and it steps up. So it doesn't stay 6 feet all the way. It stays 6 feet at the start, and at the bottom, we're having to put riprap up against the wall. Just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
My name is Mark Matthews. I live at 2111 Camino Barranca, which is one of those properties on the map. First, I want to start by commending the applicant on his flexibility in working with the neighborhood and those of us who are interested in the trail. This trail is one of the earliest, is on the earliest maps ever recorded in Palm Springs, and it is the sole access to the Lickin' Trail that doesn't cross tribal land, and so it's important to keep it open. The Director of Planning addressed all the issues that I wanted to hear, trail maintenance and things like that, and so I want you to know that we appreciate the effort. I know it's been frustrating, and it's required a lot of lines moved and lots worked and whatever, but I think it's really a terrific solution, and appreciate the work that's gone in to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Anybody else? Back to commission. Tracy?
I just have a couple questions, and either for Doug or for the applicant. One is there other precedents for having a trail in the wash, and how does exactly
You
that
have
work?
your
Is the
mic on.
entire wash available for people to walk on, or are you going to construct something that directs that traffic, or does it matter?
Well, what'll happen is as you come off of Camino Monte, you'll have a slope to traverse. So you'll have a traditional hillside trail that'll be fairly narrow. You'll get to the bottom of the wash, and it'll be a combination of flat wash area and riprap. And then as you go around the bend to the west, you get into some steeper areas, and it's probably going to creep up the hillside a little bit and become a hillside trail. There's only probably 150 feet of the trail that would be on a soft wash bottom if you built it today, and then you're in the rocks. Got one tricky point, I call it the waterfall point, that if the water were flowing, there'd be, a nice little waterfall that you need to, work up and around. And that's why, using Mike Schuler as the alignment guy is because he builds them, he knows how to do it, and, he doesn't want to build a trail forever. So I think it'll be a good trail, but, the wash bottom part will probably be a fairly narrow trail. It is today if you walk down in there just because of the cat's claws.
So to follow up on that, what is going to make people walk down into the wash and over and back up again rather than trying to cross private property?
Just go up the road. One, there's a gate.
Okay,
That
that's
once this is
Okay.
approved, the gate can be closed, and two, there'll be a trail sign. And I've got to tell you that, with the exception of a couple of places in town, most people are very, very careful to stay on trails unless they get lost.
Okay.
And we don't have a lot of conflict with trails in town.
Okay, and then there's one condition of approval, and I don't remember what it is, that talks about renaturalizing, and where do you have to renaturalize? Doesn't seem like there's anything that needs to be renaturalized, is there?
After they get in and do the wall and the riprap, you may need a little bit of renaturalization. It really depends on how it's done. You know, in that particular area, the area is going to reseed very quickly, so we may not have to do much. But
Okay, and then I guess the last point that seems to me, and I don't live in the area, but it seems like having the 2 access points is a really desirable thing. It shares some of the burden, and is there any argument against having 2 access points? It seems like very logical.
well, if you just go out and look on the south side, there is an access point. People just slide down on their bottom. You know, it's a steep, fill slope, so people just slide down it and continue. So I think having a formal access point, one, eliminates people from just sliding down a hill. Two, if there is a down point, one could argue that people would not access the trail that way. But if you just look at what goes on, they do. I think it's going to be advantageous for people. And this is a trail that predominantly is local people hiking. It's not a trail that you find busloads of people showing up and unloading, going for a walk. They go to the other trailheads, at either the cultural center or down by Canyon Heights to get on this trail.
Okay, well, with that, I will move approval. Do you want me to do the vacation separately, or can we do them all together?
You could do it as one motion, the vacation and the architectural approval item.
Do you have questions? No? Okay, I'll move approval of case number 10.446, vacation of Camino Monte, that is consistent with the general plan circulation element, and approval of case number 3.2361, subject to the conditions of approval to include the typographical errors in number 9, to read that it needs to be approved by the city council, and number 10, that a trail construction document and agreement will precede any closure of the trail so that the trail stays perpetually open.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. It is approved unanimously.
Madam Chairman, if I could
Yes.
just make a quick comment, I'd like to thank all the neighbors for being patient on this one. We've told them all along our goal was to try to maintain access. It's one of the things the planning department has been doing for years, and they've been very patient. They've waited. Would also like to thank the applicant. I've helped relocate trails all over town, and this has been the most challenging and probably the most expensive for a private property owner to work out.
Thank you. We want to get our rest of our commission back in here.
We're all back. It's after 2 o'clock, so we'll return to our public hearing items. And we'll address first item number 3, case 5.935 PD 59 application by Desert Chapel for revisions to the Desert Chapel Master Plan, Plan Development District 59 for consideration of special events, nighttime football games, and rededication of the Sunny Dunes right-of-way located on 10.16 acres at 630 South Sunrise Way, PD 59 Zone, Section 24. This matter was continued from the meeting of November 12, 2003. And Mr. Evans, I see we have a request to continue the matter again to the December 10, 2003 meeting by the applicant.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to give an update because we did send a notice out to all the property owners within 400 feet as a courtesy, since this has been continued longer than anybody reasonably would track it. We have been working on the issue of trying to resolve the easement and insurance issue between Mesquite Country Club, Homeowners Association, and Desert Chapel. Both parties have worked very hard to try to work that out. There was another option that was discussed last week and this week that may solve the problem and get us out of the whole mess and allow Sunny Dunes to be maintained as a private road, take care of the access to Mesquite homeowners, get rid of the insurance requirement, make everybody, I believe, very comfortable. Desert Chapel wanted to do some evaluation of cost of that alternative, and they're doing that right now, but I'm very optimistic that a real good solution, not only for this, but another issue, will come out of this, and I think the public will end up with a much better situation all the way around. As the commission knows, you did approve the use of the athletic field for events and activities. We've issued individual permits for football games this year. We've had a couple of concerns about lights that were tilted the wrong direction. But overall, it seems to have worked out reasonably well. I know it doesn't make everybody happy, but they did have their football games, and for the most part, it worked out reasonably well. There was some glare, particularly on a couple of nights where they set up a light facing the wrong direction, and I think we'll get that worked out for next year. I don't recall if they have another game this week, if the coin toss went their way or not. But that's where we're at, and we did invite people to come back down, so there may be some people here to speak at the public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
With that, then, we'll open the public hearing. And any questions of staff before I do open the public hearing?
Yes, I had one question. Doug, I had made some comments prior to that regarding the same issues that the gentleman who spoke previously, and would be in hopes that Desert Chapel and Chris Mills et al. Would make sure that those items are taken care of.
Any other questions of staff? I think we're all, everybody on the commission certainly is happy to hear we may have a solution to the street issue, and that would be very nice. But if there are not no other questions by commission members, we'll open a public hearing. Anybody here wishing to address the commission on this item, please come forward. Confine your comments, if you will, please, to 3 minutes. Give us your name and address and sign the clipboard. Anybody wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion then to continue this matter to December 10 per the applicant's request.
I'll make a motion, we continue this to December 10th.
All right, we have a motion. I have a second.
I'll second it.
All right. We'll need a roll call vote on this, please, Michelle.
Mr. Hokenadel?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Ms. Conrad? Mr. Grinch?
Aye.
Mr. Matthews?
Aye.
Ms. Morantz?
Aye.
Ms. Schoenberger?
Aye. The matter passes unanimously, and we'll move on to item number 4, case 5.0842 PD 77, application by Christopher Mills Architect, Inc. for Maurice Refoa for an amendment to the existing planned development district to add to existing retail center and expand parking lot for retail use at 611 South Palm Canyon Drive, PD 77, Zone Section 22. And this matter was continued from the meeting of November 12. Staff report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant and staff are still working on the easement issue that came up at your public hearing. We recommend a continuance. The continuance would keep the public hearing open. That completes our report, Mr. Chairman.
Any I think we should open the public hearing, Mr. Evans, in case anybody's here. Any questions by staff, by the commission at this point? If not, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item, please come forward. If you would please confine your comments to 3 minutes, give us your name and address, and sign the clipboard before you go.
My name's Larry Stearns, 645 South Palm Canyon Drive. I own the car wash south of the property. Still no easement. And we can continue this as long as that, but there's no easement on my property. I did a title search, and I have public utility easements and all the normal, but there is no easement. I don't know where the question's coming up, but it's not on my title report. So, and also, parking. Is there going to be any additional parking for 8,500 square foot building? The parking in that shopping center is very, very limited. There's a fire lane along all those businesses there, and it's cars parked daily. Also, how are we going to get service to the back of this shopping center? Fire trucks, delivery trucks, semi-trucks. There's a furniture store that gets a couple semi-loads. Bicycle shop gets semi. 2 restaurants, beer trucks, pop trucks. There's not a day go by that I don't have one of them come through my driveway. They come along, generally they come along the side of the bicycle shop, but if this building attaches, that road will be gone, and that leaves me. And I don't know how we're going to control it. So anyway, that's it. There is no easement and the parking issue. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the commission on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and we have a request to continue this matter to the December 10 meeting. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move continuance of this item.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and Michelle, again, we're going to need a roll call vote.
Okay. Mr. Hognadel?
Aye.
Mr. Wright? Aye. Ms. Conrad? Mr. Grinch?
Aye.
Mr. Matthews?
Aye.
Ms. Morantz?
Aye.
Mr. Schoenberger?
Aye. Passes unanimously, and so that matter will be continued then to December 10, 2003. And we will move to item 5A. This is case 5.0977, PD 288, tentative track map 31887, application by John Westman for an amendment to the general plan circulation plan to remove Cahuilla Road's designation as a collector roadway between Ramon Road on the south and Tahquitz Canyon Way on the north, zones R2 and R3, section 15, and
Mr. Chairman, I am going to abstain because I have a piece of property within 400 feet of the intersection of Tahquitz Canyon and Cahuilla Road.
I'll read in item 5B, and then we'll have your abstention on the record. And we're taking 5A and 5B together on this, Mr. Evans, you think?
Yes.
So I'll read in item 5B, which is 5.0977, PD 288, tentative track map 31887, application by Westman Development for a planned development district and tentative track map to construct 38 condominium units for the property at 284 South Cahuilla Road, zones R2 and R3, section 15. And I also am going to have to abstain on this matter for the reasons stated earlier. Mr. Westman is in a contract to purchase a property owned by a partnership in which I have an interest. So I will abstain on this matter. We have Tracy Conrad's abstention.
Mr. Chairman, I will be abstaining on this item as my family business does business with Mr. Westman.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be abstaining on this item also. We're in contract selling property to Mr. Westman.
I don't live next to this one.
So I guess we're going to have to do our drawing on this. There's some people who came in, and Mr. Evans, you might explain again what it is that we do when we have a situation where we have a majority of the commission that is in a conflict situation.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, when we have a majority of the commission that's in conflict and we have all of the commissioners here that do not have a conflict, and my count is right, that's 3 commissioners, we have to draw by lot one planning commissioner that has to participate For purposes of a quorum, that commissioner can fully participate and vote on the matter. This is a procedure that's required by state law. And to carry out the draw by lot, I have a cup of 4 marbles. There are 3 predominantly black marbles and 1 white and blue one. And in this case, the white and blue will be the participating commissioner, so I'll ask each commissioner to pull a marble and let us know who has the white and blue one.
Let's go ahead and start with Diane.
You get it over quick.
Black one?
You're looking for the white and blue one.
Oh, you changed colors?
Yeah, I did. Keep you all. You're it.
You're it.
Marbles.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe go watch TV.
Mr. Chairman, Kathy Marks will give the staff report on this item. You have a very detailed written staff report. We won't go through all the points in the report. We'll primarily describe where the general plan amendment is, then answer any questions that you might have about it, and we'll also go over the project plans and answer any questions that you might have on those. And with that, Kathy Marks will give you a staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Evans.
Mr. Chairman and respected members of the commission. First of all, I'd like to put this in a locational context so you have an understanding of actually where this is. There's an aerial provided for the project site that includes Kauai Drive. The general plan amendment, though, actually incorporates more of Kauai Drive than the aerial provides. So we're showing you from Ramon Road in Baristo project area, so in here, and proceeding to West Tockwitz Canyon Way. The existing right-of-way, or existing roadway is a collector status roadway on the circulation element of our general plan. That basically represents a street section that we've provided as an exhibit with a 60-foot wide right-of-way. The city maintains 60 feet of that area. If you so choose to amend that general plan circulation element and delete that designation of a collector, it would change the roadway status to a local roadway. That represents a 50-foot wide right-of-way that the city maintains. This particular roadway, which is kind of well defined. I wish I had this for the entire length that we're proposing, because it certainly gives you the true idea of how this street actually exists. There's bay parking, there's some sidewalk, sometimes there's not a sidewalk. It's a very eclectic neighborhood in that respect. It's a historic neighborhood. Most of the structures have been there for quite some time. There has been infill development that has occurred. But basically, I've detailed it in the staff report exactly block by block how this proceeds, but hopefully that would give you kind of a general overview of the roadway. We have not, we've received a letter from the historic neighborhood that was included with your documents on the table today, because it came in after the staff report was sent out to you all, that includes the entire Historic Neighborhood Association and their support for this general plan amendment. I think it would be best if I just addressed your questions now. So very brief overview, but.
Kathy, what's the actual width of the roadway as it exists? It's a mishmash, I know.
Okay, when we look right now, there's 40 feet on Kauai. I think I included that. Off the top of my head, I honestly, I can't tell you for the other blocks, but I know it's included here if we'd, okay. South from Tahquitz Canyon Road, there's an existing right-of-way of the 50 feet, and it indicates a 60-foot right-of-way road width, so it exists at 50. Then we go down to the Kuya Road and south to Baristo, and it's a 66-foot right-of-way, but we know from the plan that it's basically about there's a 50-foot right-of-way and 40 feet approximately of pavement, probably a little bit more. And then as we proceed even further south, there's a 60, changes to reduced half-street width on the west side of Kuya Road from Monte Vista south. So there's a little bit, 66 feet, and then changes and narrows slightly on one side of the road on this block down here. You can almost see it if you look at the old aerial. So it's kind of a quick overview.
I guess the reality, though, is in most of the length of that, it doesn't meet the actual condition as a collector street anyway.
No,
Okay.
that's exactly true.
In the proposal, are there any traffic calming provisions that are included in this? Because that's, right now, that's like the secondary thoroughfare as people are moving up and north to south across that side of town.
If I could answer that question, the traffic calming program is done by Dave Barakian, and he has traffic calming news that's breaking.
Really? There isn't any traffic calming included with this proposal. However, as part of the council-approved plan and meetings with the neighborhood, there is currently traffic calming going in on that street in the form of what they call speed cushions. And we have 3 streets they're going in on right now. They haven't actually got to Kauai yet, but within a few days they're going to be there.
What are speed
Yeah,
cushions?
a cushion's not a cushion, is it?
Speed cushions are made out of rubber, and they're bolted to the pavement. They go up about 3 inches and cause traffic to slow down. It's like a hump made out of rubber that are bolted to the pavement. We have them for some time. We've had them on Ramon Road west of Palm Canyon, and we just put them in on Cerritos south of Vistachino. And,
What are they designed to reduce speeds to?
They're designed to reduce speeds to about 15 miles an hour.
And these are going in on Kauai, the length of it?
Yes.
And that's been approved by council already?
Well, council approved the traffic calming program, and in conjunction with the traffic calming program, staff has met with the neighborhoods, over a dozen neighborhoods to date, that being one of them. And speed cushions were an approved part of the program. And in this case, this is what that neighborhood and a couple others have desired, to reduce a documented speeding problem on the road. In other words, traffic was going well in excess of the 25 mile per hour speed limit. So when you go over these humps, you probably have to slow down to about between 15 and 20 miles an hour when you go over the humps, and they are successful in lowering speeds on local roads like this.
And what's the engineering take on that in terms of traffic flows? Do you feel that these are going to be restrictive? I mean, they're going to be restrictive to a degree of traffic flows on the streets where these are installed, but do you think that these are sensible measures to be taken in light of the traffic that I know is on this street? I'm not really on the street on Ramon west of South Palm Canyon. I don't think there's very much traffic on that street, certainly very little through traffic, but on Kauai, there is traffic, and that street's used regularly when Baristo or Bellardo is impacted by events and so on. And is this good planning to slow traffic on that particular street down to those levels?
It's my opinion that they serve to slow the traffic down to the legal limit. And that's what they're designed to do. And they're only designed, and the program is only meant to put them in on streets where there is a documented speed problem, and there is one in this case. So it will serve to do that. Now, in some cases, it does serve to make traffic basically think twice about driving down that street, and they go to somebody else's street.
Well, but in this case, there's no place else to go.
But in this case, well, you could go
except for Bilardo. And my concern
yes.
is when Bilardo is impacted, as happens, there is no place else to go.
Yes, and so then, I don't expect a whole lot of traffic to not use Cahuilla. What I do expect it to do is use it at the speed limit, and they're not. These cushions aren't going to ruin your suspension unless you take them at like 40 miles an hour or something, but they do cause you to drive the speed limit, and that's what they're intended to do. And in this case, this is very much what the neighborhood was in favor of.
Other questions?
Just a question about when this went to design review. What were the comments about?
I will be addressing the project overall in further description, and I can address that then if you'd prefer.
I'll
The
wait
general
till then.
plan amendment to the circulation element isn't something that actually goes before design review typically.
This is a public hearing item, so we'll open the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Kathy
Mr.
only went over the street issues. What she'd
Right.
like to do is quickly show you the site plan and the building elevations. And then if you have any questions on those, we'll do that very quickly.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, I'm going to pull out, first of all, I want to give you the general layout of the project. It consists of 12 3-unit complexes. Excuse me. Yeah, there we go. Right, shorten the staff report. I can't get over to my and one duplex. Each of these triplex units consists of 2 bungalows and a upper carriage unit. They're 2-story with 1 3rd-story element. We'll show you the elevations on another board. I had so many exhibits I couldn't provide them all on one board. And there's a central recreation area provided for all units. Just to go across it, this is a view of the project from Cahuilla. There will be bay parking proposed here. The count is not going towards this project, but it will be completed in conjunction with this project because it is obviously part of this site as far as physically associated with it. There will be a wall along there to protect, it's a low wall, to protect the properties from headlights. Originally, it wasn't proposed with a wall, but needed to go there because of the bay parking. This is the design. The top design is a streetscape from Baristo. You can see there's a lot of variety, a multi-tiered project, multi-dimensional in many ways, both as you face the project and obviously in height. This project has gone before both design review and before the neighborhood group twice. Design review saw it for both a single-story element and a multi-story element. This represents the multi-story component of the triplex. You can see the element here in the middle that is 30, I believe it's 34 feet in height. And the other, 34. Then we have a 10-foot plate height, 9 foot and 9 foot here. Okay, in response to concerns in our neighborhood meetings, it was very well received architecturally at design review. There were absolutely no conditions of approval associated with this particular architectural design. The neighbors that attended was very well attended meeting with, I think, almost every adjacent property owner, perhaps with the exception of one. I'm just bringing this out so we can look at something here in relation to it. We wanted to talk about aesthetics, views, adjacent single-family residences, and the relationship to a multi-story complex. So the developer chose to change a tri-unit here to a single-story duplex there. So the single-story components here and back here wouldn't have such an impact and would still have view corridors. Those are expressed in some of these A to A here section and B to B. B representing the north, which is a small apartment complex, single-story, and how they would perceive the project adjacent to them. And then we have our single-story, single-family homes here that, and how they would perceive the project. This is the property line, their backyard, etc. In another response to neighbor concerns, the applicant also chose to reverse only one structure to include the design, to make the design actually work for the properties on the other side. This is a small resort hotel who are very concerned about the ability of people to perhaps see down into their development, especially if it was off of a deck or courtyard. I'm going to point that out really quick, although so by flipping the project, this is what we get. They're really not seeing down from, decking space, etc. So that was in response to neighbor concerns. I should say that obviously this is a planned development. It does depart from specific zoning standards of development in height, in setbacks, in parking, and distance between structures. That's been outlined in your packet. If you have any questions in regards to the project, I have certainly entertained those. That concludes my staff report.
Mr. Chairman, let me interrupt for a second.
Yes.
I have to ask the applicant directly. I have no conflict with Mr. Westman, but on these drawings it says Westman GHA. The G of GHA, and I have a conflict in another city, and it's just until these drawings were pulled out. I need to know whether it's Westman Development or if it is GHA. If it's GHA, I should have drawn a marble.
Actually, this is going to be a GHA project. Is it now? It's totally controlled by me, but I'm in discussions with Mario to joint venture this project with him.
Because sometimes things have been here, Westman GHA, and GHA really wasn't involved. It was just so. Now tell me what you want to do. You don't have a deal with GHA yet. Okay.
Yes,
Sir?
it's really your discretion, Mr. Matthews. There's a potential conflict if that business relationship ever occurs. If you're uncomfortable with that relationship, you can abstain. If that were the case, we would bring the other commissioners in, we would draw marbles, and then move on. I can't tell you if you do or you don't. Out of abundance of caution, you may want to abstain.
Yeah, I'm sort of an abundance of caution guy, and my arrangement with GHA is already done. But I have I was involved in a business transaction with GHA in another city, and so. Y'all get to hear. Can we replay the tape?
We'll have to back up.
I need to know that anytime the applicant comes forward with this particular, I mean, I have one business arrangement in town. This is it.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey.
Yes, I do.
I can't be 2 for 2, so.
I think you only have to draw 4.
Mr. Chairman, I will go through the same procedure. We have to select one planning commissioner to sit for purposes of a quorum, and to make sure that I never do the same thing the same time. This time it is the predominantly black marble.
And it really needs to go among the 4 of us, is that correct? That are.
Yes.
So the chairman who's already in is in. All right. I hope you guys watch that, because you may be.
Yes, we've been watching. How do you know when you're going to come in here?
You got contractor.
That's
Rick. I'm out of here. I apologize, but I just recognize there's an issue. Sorry.
Come on, Larry, we're back in the hall again.
Mr. Evans, given the fact that Ms. Conrad watched the tape, do we have to go back and start over again?
As long as Ms. Conrad was watching and listening to the proceeding, she's qualified herself as having heard the staff report, and knowing Commissioner Conrad, she also read the staff report because she didn't think she had an abstention until she came in today. So if you would like to, we'll answer any questions at this time.
Ms. Conrad, do you feel comfortable in going ahead? Were you able to listen to the proceeding? Okay. Now, I think where we were is any further questions of staff before we open the public hearing? If none, we'll open the public hearing. Anybody here wishing to comment on this matter, now's the time. Please come forward. Please confine your comments to 3 minutes. State your name and address and sign the clipboard before you leave.
My name is John Westman, again, at 2005 Camino Monte, and I've already signed. This is a project that has been a really fun project to do, because not very often you get to have an opportunity to do a real urban project and try to make it blend in with the neighborhood. The first thing we decided we didn't want to do was make it a wall community, so we wanted to make it a community that was part of the neighborhood. So when you look at the plans, you'll see all the front doors that are facing Lugo and Baristo actually just walk right out to the streets. And what we tried to make it look like, the architect is here today, Mark Shire from Orange County. If you have any questions of him, he would be more than happy to answer any architectural questions. I think the architecture, I think, fits very, very well with the neighborhood and with the historic Palm Springs. And our density, the zoning density on that was about 53 units, I believe. I don't think Kathy hit on that. We're building 38 units, and she was correct. We had one 3-story unit back in the back corner that was fronting some single-story properties there, and we actually had to design a whole new duplex for that one, and that's the single-story units that's in the northeast corner of the property there. We're trying to make this feel like a little enclave. The interior is going to be all interlocking pavers coming in off the street. We'll have on Cahuilla Road that'll be either accented stamped concrete or interlocking pavers on our portion of the road there. We also purchased the old church across the street, the historic church, which we intend down the road to convert to a bed and breakfast. And one of the reasons Kathy said that there was parking on Cahuilla that wasn't really a part of this project as far as the count, it was part of the project that we're building it now, was that there's absolutely no place to put parking on that church site itself. So we figured that what made sense was to try to accommodate that across the street. That church property is directly across the street from the, let's see, south, east corner of the property on Bristow and Cahuilla. The central courtyard area where we got the swimming pool, we've got some parking there. I don't know if it shows very well, but there's some handicap parking there and guest parking. And above that, we're designing a sun deck and a little barbecue area overlooking the pool to give ourselves a bit more space. I think we're going to have to come back and get a special approval from the staff on that one. It's going to be an internal part of the project. If you have any questions, I feel really good about this project. We've worked with the community. I did do a full-blown traffic study on Cahuilla Road because some of the members of the community asked me if I would do that to see if they could close Cahuilla Road totally. The community was very interested in closing Cahuilla Road, not just slowing it down. The traffic study basically said that it needed to stay open, but it could be a neighborhood street, not a collector street. And so the staff has a traffic study as part of this project. Any other questions that you could ask of me, or the architect would be more than happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Westman. Anyone else wishing to speak on this matter?
Good afternoon. My name is Tricia Davis, and I reside at 227 South Cahuilla Road. And I just wanted
Would you grab the microphone and bring it a little closer to you so that we can all hear you? Thank you.
Mr. Schoenberger, you were discussing earlier the speed humps, and I just wanted to comment that that is one of the most heavily trafficked, walked areas in the entire community due to the fact we have a lot of historic inns, a lot of restaurants. I live right on Cahuilla, and it's only a matter of time before someone's hit and injured. So I think with those speed humps, it's really important that you were aware of the problem. People drive like maniacs down that street, and so many tourists walk the street that we're really thankful they're going in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on forward. You can talk while she's writing, and then you can fill out the.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Commissioner. I'm Scott Kennedy, Advocacy Chair for the Palm Springs Modern Committee. My address is 2398 Star Road, Palm Springs. My comments today might be a little bit premature, but I figure it's better to get our views out early than too late. ModCom would like to remind this commission that requested alterations to properties that are Class 1 historic sites, such as the 1936 Community Church and the Oasis Hotel, should be carefully reviewed for compliance with the Secretary of the Interior's standards for preservation and rehabilitation. This commission needs to require that a complete environmental impact report be prepared for these historic resources according to CEQA. The bottom line here is that any development project that includes a Class 1 historic site, which is considered historic resources under CEQA, requires full environmental review under CEQA law. The Modern Committee will be monitoring these properties and is prepared to insist that CEQA law be followed when dealing with Class 1 or other historic sites. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Mr. Westman, we'll call you back up if we have a question. Thanks. Anyone else now wishing to speak on this item who hasn't had a chance to speak? I'm sure there'll be a question, Mr. Westman, and we'll take up this issue. My guess is everybody's going to be interested in it. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and go back to the commission for questions and comments. And I guess the first obvious question, Doug, is do we have a CEQA problem here, and can we go forward?
I just wanted to check with Mr. Kennedy. He is correct. We're going to be very, very careful as we get into modifications to Class 1 sites. The Class 1 site here for Community Church is the old church. It is not the building that was built in the 50s that's on the subject property.
So the issue then may come up when we get to developing the church property.
Correct. And I think one of the key issues when we get into looking at historic sites, to show the linkage between these. The bay parking that is proposed on this site is intended to provide parking for a future project at the community church. When the council designated that as a historic site, it even made comments that it might make a great bed and breakfast in the future. What the applicant is proposing to do really starts the process of trying to protect the economic viability of the Class 1 site by providing parking for it, because that's going to be the greatest challenge in some of our Class 1 sites as they go through an evolution of adaptive reuse, is to maintain that they're economically viable and not just pieces of history that can't be maintained because they're not being watched. So I think this project really complements the Class 1 site. And I did double check with Mr. Kennedy to make sure that was his intent. It's a future consideration.
Other questions or comments by the commission at this point? And Mr. Westman, was that the issue you were going to address? Okay. I just have a comment and then a question, Mr. Evans. I was at design review when this project was reviewed, and it was well received. I think the applicant has done a good job of integrating this project into an existing neighborhood. I was very happy to see that we weren't faced with walls and gates, and that there has been a real effort here to integrate this project into the neighborhood with a sensitivity to the neighbors and sight lines and so on. The only question I have, Mr. Evans, is in regard to parking, and I don't recall that there was a discussion of parking at design review. There may have been, and I just don't recall it, but the zoning ordinance, as I read the chart, would require 114 spaces. And I say this appreciating the fact that there could have been greater density here than we have, which is nice. But I'm still a little bit concerned here about parking, with 114 required and 79 being proposed in an area where we have from time to time parking issues. Is staff comfortable with the level of parking, and is there provision in this plan and across the street to take care of parking?
My simple answer is yes, and I'd like to explain it a little bit. As we get into working on smaller, older properties, infill developments, it's going to be a very delicate balance, because we're going to have structures that need to be removed because they're economically or land use-wise no longer viable, yet they have a lot of value. To be able to redevelop properties, you're going to have to be able to put up a reasonable amount of new structure to be able to make the project work economically as well as from a land use standpoint. In this particular location, this is a neighborhood that there are very few properties that fully comply with our parking ordinance, and there are properties that have virtually no parking. It's very close to the downtown. The intent of this project is to have a project that's marketed to people that want to be near a downtown, and they're not going to move their cars as much or as often as most people would. There is no doubt that there may be times when people entertain that we may tax the parking in this particular project. The good news is each unit has assigned garaged parking so that the individual unit parking can occur. I think the CC&Rs are going to have to be real clear that people can't fill their garages up with toys and Christmas and other decorative items, that they need to keep that parking available and not convert. But if we're going to be successful at these urban infill projects, and I can throw a whole ton of planning jargon. I went to a conference with 2 planning commissioners recently, and the conferences that they didn't go to, they talked about reducing parking in urban infill areas if you want to be successful. 79 spaces versus 114, I don't think it's a significant difference. and people will just have to have a little bit different lifestyle in this particular site than they do elsewhere, and the whole neighborhood does that right now. So that's our explanation. We think it's going to be a reasonable balance between all of the factors, and giving up a little bit on parking to get a superior, well-designed project we think is a good trade-off for the community.
Other comments, questions?
I'd be interested to hear what Mr. Westman has to say.
Okay, if we've got some unanimity here to go ahead and hear a further comment, then we'll entertain it.
I think the one thing Doug didn't say was that that parking count of 114 comes from the possibility of multiple bedrooms in these units, and these units are not being marketed to families at all. And those extra rooms that they're counting as potential bedrooms that brings the parking count up are actually offices and dens the way we're designing this project. So, you know, if you really look at what we're doing here, I don't think we're underparked at all. But according to the code, if the room's a 12 by 12 room, you have to figure it as a bedroom. So whether you're going to use it as a bedroom or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Motions?
I just like to say I'm gratified that Kauai is going to stay open, and I think it's better for the neighborhood, and that it integrates with the neighborhood is marvelous. So go ahead, Jerry, and I'll second it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion approving case number 5.0977, Plan Development District 288, and tentative track map 31887, application by John Westman for a general plan amendment to the circulation lot to remove Kauai Road's designation as a collector roadway between Ramon Road and Tahquitz Canyon Way, and Plan Development District 288, and tentative track map 31887 to construct 38 condominium units for the property located at 284 South Kauai Road, Zone R2, R3, Section 15.
Is there a second? We have a motion and a second, and we'll need a roll call vote.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Ms. Conrad? Aye. Mr. Grinch?
Aye.
Mr. Schoenberg?
Aye. So it passes unanimously with 4-0 with 3 abstentions. Yes, Mr. Evans.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record purposes, in the resolutions on this, it also included recommending the filing of a negative declaration, and we'd just like to make sure the record shows that.
And is that included in the motion in the second?
That is included.
Okay. With that, then, we'll call our missing commissioners back and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is item number, I guess they're not watching TV. This is item 6, and Mr. Evans, it's going to take me 20 minutes to read this into the record.
Chairman, I think all you have to read is the first paragraph.
All right, I'll read the first paragraph, and we'll just make a general reference to the rest of it. This is case 5.0728, request by the Agua Caliente Band of Kauai Indians and City of Palm Springs for various amendments to the general plan land use and circulation elements, approval of the Section 14 Master Plan / Specific Plan and zoning map amendments to remove all existing zoning within Section 14 and establish 9 new land use designations, all for 640 acres of Alejo Road to the north, Sunrise Way to the east, Ramon Road to the south, and South Indian Canyon Drive to the west, Zone C1, C1AA, C2, RGA, R2, R4, R4VP, PD 101, PD 180, and PD 164, all in Section 14. And this application involves then a number of changes to the general plan and zoning ordinance, which I assume you'll address at least to a degree in the staff report, which we'll ask for now.
Abstentions.
Mr. Chairman?
As, abstentions, first of all, and I think, we've gone through selections on this in the past. Are we going to redo that?
Well, Mr. Chairman, let me explain where we are. Commissioner Conrad does not have a conflict unless something's happened since the last meeting. Mr. Chairman, you drew lots and you stay. You will participate on this for the rest. And with that summary, Mr. Chairman, you might want to call for abstentions.
All right, we'll go through the abstention recitation, and I have a conflict with this in that I am a partner in a partnership that owns the office building in which our law office is located, which is within 500 feet of Section 14. And that's my conflict, although we've gone through before, and I drew the, I guess then it was a number to continue to participate despite the conflict.
Mr. Chairman, I have to
Mr. Hoganadel?
abstain. I have a partnership of a building in the Section 14 area.
And Mr. Chairman, I have to abstain because I'm employed by a business that does business with the,
Mr. Grins?
Mr. Chairman, I'll have to abstain because I manage property within Section 14.
Okay.
And I have to abstain because our firm has done business with the Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indians in the last year.
So that leaves us then, with Ms. Conrad and myself, and so we need, and Ms. Morantz, and so we need to find one more. Is that where we are?
Okay, I had okay, good. Good, so we need to find one planning commissioner. Again, Mr. Chairman, for the purposes of the record, when there's conflicts that we don't have a quorum, we have to draw by lot the participating commissioners. A quorum is 4. So in this particular case, if I did my math right, we're going to have marbles for 3 planning commissioners, and in this case, the predominantly black marble will be for the commissioner that participates.
I got pearls.
Mr. Chairman, if I could give you a staff report on
Yes,
this
please.
item. Just for members of the public, one of the reasons why this project does generate conflicts of interest is because it covers an entire 1 square mile area of the community, and that's a very broad geographic area for a project. And as we can see, in a small town, whether it's work or business or property ownership, in an area this large, we touch almost everybody in the community. And this is an item that we've had a couple of study sessions on with the commission over a period of time. The Section 14 master plan covers the area bounded by Ramon Road, Indian Canyon, Alejo, and Sunrise Way. As I indicated, it is a 1 square mile area. The property is within the reservation of the Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indians. It is probably the most important section of land for the tribal council and the tribal members. Virtually every tribal member that was involved in the original allotments received an allotment in Section 14, if not all. I think all did, but I'll leave that open. So all tribal members of the original allottees have a keen interest in Section 14. That probably is one of the fundamental complexities that caused the Section 14 master plan to be prepared. To take a look at a master land use plan for this portion of the Indian reservation, that addresses the tribal concerns, the Alati concerns, addresses some of the Bureau of Indian Affairs concerns, and then tried very carefully to work with the community plan, the city's general plan, and zoning ordinance. The plan basically will revise all of the land use plan relative to zoning and implementation for Section 14. It will also require the city to take a look at general plan amendments in a number of areas, and we've outlined those. And on the front of your agenda, I won't go through all of them, but basically, we're taking a look at making adjustments to the city's general plan to bring it into conformity with the Section 14 master plan. Staff of the city has been working for a number of years with the tribal staff, and the tribal staff has been working a number of years in addition to that to put this plan together. It truly is a new vision for Section 14. It was prepared by an internationally known planning firm. They brought in a lot of experts to take a look at it to try to develop the best plan for this square mile of the community. I'm very pleased to say that in working through this with tribal staff and their consultants, there have been some adjustments. It's been truly a cooperative effort. There were some things that were in the plan originally that we suggested be dealt with a little bit differently, and at the staff level, subject to continual refinement, we think the plan is ready for its adoption by the city. The item before you today is to hold a public hearing. The public hearing would be on the Section 14 master plan, the general plan amendments that go with it. There's an environmental impact report, environmental impact statement that has already been certified by the tribe, which means it's been through the entire review process. That environmental impact statement looked at traffic, air quality, noise, urban land use, visual impacts, all issues. It was a very complicated environmental impact report, and I can tell you probably one of the most challenging to work on because it addressed, a very intensive land use plan for a square mile of land. So it wasn't just a little project document that focused on one issue. It focused on a broad range of issues and impacts both in Section 14 and out. The plan has probably taken everybody more energy than we thought, and I certainly know that the tribal efforts have been very, very strong to keep this moving because it has taken a lot of time, and we've had a number of staff members change hands, and we've always had to get somebody back up to speed on it. Jing Yu has been working on this. She took off a little bit early for a holiday, and so most of the work has been hers. I won't go through the plan in detail. You do have a written staff report, and the purpose of today's meeting is to hold a public hearing and solicit public input. We are asking that the commission continue the item for 30 days. We have, anytime the city adopts a project with an environmental impact report, we have to prepare very rigorous findings and documents that we just need to take some time to do. And we think in the next 30 days we'll do that. They're drafted. We need to fine-tune them. From the standpoint of the commission's involvement of this, we have tentatively scheduled this to be on your agenda next Wednesday if the commission would like to have a detailed workshop on it and go through it in detail. At the public hearing, we really don't have time to go through the complete document. I will show you some of the exhibits very quickly. But if the commission thinks it would like to have a workshop to discuss this, I need to impose upon you to have you tell me that now so that we can stop the meeting for a couple of minutes, finish the agenda, and mail it today. If you choose not to have a study session on this item, we're likely going to tell you at the end of the meeting we'd prefer to not have a meeting next Wednesday so we can keep working on this and not have a regular study session. It's the commission's pleasure on a study session.
I've got some questions and concerns, now, I don't know if all of the other participating commissioners, I don't think so, have been in the prior workshops.
I was, and so I would like to know specifically the answer to some of the questions that have come up over the last year. And I don't know that it takes a workshop to do that, but it probably does. This is so complicated.
Mr. Evans, I need to ask you a question.
Well, that's right.
Because
Pardon me.
I'm in a panic mode right now. Don't even ask. G&M Construction is working on the Cunningham project on Baristo. Am I in trouble? Okay.
No, you're doing business under contract for a
Right.
developer, and
In Section 14.
that project has no real effect.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the issue of owning property and being employed by somebody that actually owns the property, I believe, is different. You're just doing contract work. You have no financial interest in that actual property.
Mr. Hoganadel, I don't believe you participated in the prior, and I think that, and did you, Ms. Morantz? And so the three of us did, but Mr. Hoganadel didn't. This is an important matter that really will have ramifications for a long, long time, and the more time we can spend on this, I know that I now have some questions and concerns that have occurred to me as I've spent some more time looking at the book that we have, and maybe we ought to spend some more time with it. Just a question that has me confused even in preparing for a work session if we're going to have it next week. In looking at this matter on the agenda, maybe you can help me, Mr. Evans, where it talks about, and I'm looking at in paragraph capital A, General Plan Map Amendment 2, redesignate the following areas from H43/30 high-density residential to RC, which is resort commercial. And I'm looking at this in terms of an amendment of zoning designation, and there isn't, for example, there's no resort commercial zoning designation in our book. So I'm not understanding something.
Okay. That, I think, has a fairly straightforward explanation. The general plan amendment that we're proposing, the designations that are in the staff report, excuse me, the resort commercial, that is our existing general plan designation of resort commercial. So that RC is in the existing general plan. We're not changing our designation. We're only changing the designation on the map. So when you take a look at the high 4330, that's high-density residential. That's our existing general plan designation. And the resort commercial is our existing, and I think I can show you how that works on the, in a couple of areas on the plan.
All right, well, you might address that then as part of your staff report, continuing, and we'll open the public hearing then in just a minute for those people who may be here to address this. But also you may help us with are we dealing now with changes in zoning designation?
Yes, you're dealing with two primary issues. First and foremost, in order of how you have to conduct business, we listed the general plan amendments both to the general plan map as well as the circulation plan within Section 14. So that establishes the relationship to the city's existing general plan, and what we're really doing with most of the land use changes is we're eliminating places where one piece of property has two general plan designations, which is very difficult to explain to people. Makes it a much more difficult meeting to help people figure out what they can do with their land. And one of the goals of this plan was to really have one designation per parcel, and it really is logical demarcation points. And I don't think changes the type of development you would ultimately get anyway. I mean,
Well, let me give you an example, and you can tell me and maybe address it in your comments. An example of something that came to my attention is, and this is in the zoning designation, and I need you to help me on how this problem, for example, can be addressed. And the problem is this. In our high-density residential, our current high-density residential zoning, well, let me back up and start differently. In our commercial zoning designation at this time, our commercial residential use, high-density residential use is a permitted use. Okay. Now, under the proposed specific plan, we have several commercial type zoning designations. One, for example, being specialty retail entertainment office, called REO, in the specific plan. And among the permitted uses in that zoning designation is high-density residential, but only linked to commercial, at least the way this reads. Now, that potentially is a significant change that could impact a number of property owners. And if I am reading the two zoning ordinances correctly, then that's a change that I wasn't aware of that existed before. If I'm reading them correctly, it's a difference between the two that will exist if we adopt a specific plan, and it may be significant to owners of property in Section 14. Have we made the owners of property within Section 14 aware that the adoption of this plan may have a significant impact on their properties?
The first issue is your evaluation of the master plan and the existing zoning is right on point. Particularly in the Tockwitz corridor, the proposed plan would have that REO designation, and it's specifically intended to create a more commercial corridor, and residential would only be permitted in a mixed-use development as opposed to a singular residential project. And if I could explain why. Section 14 master plan is trying to basically extend the commercial opportunity along Tockwitz to try and create a pedestrian retail and destination retail and commercial area that has some of the components, if not many of the components, of our downtown. And if you came into our downtown and right in the middle of downtown and took a 5-acre parcel with Palm Canyon frontage and popped a residential project and had a residential street frontage, you would absolutely destroy the pedestrian movement. I had the pleasure of studying Belmont Shores in Long Beach before I came to work for the city of Palm Springs. And my task was to evaluate pedestrian movement in a downtown retail. That was more beach retail, and banks and office buildings literally were stop signs for pedestrians. It stopped them, they looked at the bank, they looked down the sidewalk, and they did one of two things. They either crossed the street to where the retail was, where they would continue their walking down the street, or they would turn around. So in this particular plan, probably one of the strongest land use policy changes is to try and get hotels, commercial, along the Tockwoods frontage. If residential wants to be behind or above, fine. And that's similar to what we try to do in the downtown, even though we don't exclude residential on the ground floor in the core of our downtown. I can tell you that Jerry Ogburn and I, when we work with property owners, we strive to try and have a commercial frontage on the ground level, because we both know what happens if it no longer has a retail feel. People turn around, cross streets, don't continue.
Well, I guess...
And the second question you have we notified individual property owners? We have not. There's too many property owners in Section 14 to send out a notice to everybody. We have met with property owners that have fee land in Section 14 on this very specific issue. So they're aware of it. I know that they were concerned about it because they thought the best use of the property was pure residential. But we haven't been able to meet with everybody. The bulk of the land that has that issue, I can't tell you every parcel, but the bulk of the land that has that issue is tribal trust or allotted tribal land. So we would have to rely upon the fact that the tribal planning staff, their planning commission, through their process, let the allottees know that that's a significant change. You probably picked one of the key issues, and I applaud you for picking that one up because it is a key issue. I think it's probably a stronger land use plan in the environmental impact statement that was done on the project. They analyzed different land use scenarios, more commercial, less commercial, more residential, less, and this was really what was looked at, as the preferred alternative to try to strengthen the relationship to downtown as well as Tockwoods.
Well, I guess my concern is with, and it may be a difficult task, maybe an impossible task, I don't know, to make all property fee owners in Section 14 or holders of leases on Indian land undeveloped at this point, that this specific plan involves some potentially significant zoning changes that may have a real impact on their property. And what I'm concerned about is 2 or 3 or 4 years from now, somebody who has owned property in Section 14 or has a leasehold interest for some long time, who has plans, who's thinking about their property in one way, all of a sudden finding out when they go in to do something that, oh, by the way, the zoning on your property is not what it was before. It's been changed, and what you have in mind doing with it, you no longer can do. I'm kind of thinking out loud here. I'm concerned about that issue and whether people understand that their property may, in effect, be downzoned here in a way that affects the value of their property, and they don't know it's happening.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask the Commission's forgiveness? Could we take a break? We need to get your study session agenda out.
All right.
And from what I'm hearing so far, we need a workshop next week.
I think we do.
Okay. We need a couple of minutes to rework it, stuff envelopes, and
We'll
come
take a
back.
5-minute recess, or 10-minute recess, and then we'll pick it up and try and move through the rest of the calendar, and I appreciate your patience.
Business goes on.
Okay, we're back on the air. So we'll resume the meeting, and at this point, unless there are other comments or questions from the commission, we'll go. Yes, Ms. Conrad.
I'd just like to give one example also so that you can see what, and I'll use a simple one from the list of concerns that we have. I guess I want to understand what the solutions were, or what mitigations, or what was incorporated into the plan from our last meeting when we did submit our pretty detailed recommendations. And I'll use one example. You gave us a new proposed general plan land use designations that shows resort commercial designation for the corner of Alejo and Indian, and I know we had an extensive discussion regarding how that was going to work, and it looks like it's the same as what it was when we originally looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's where my questions are going to be next week.
And what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to work with you on putting those types of recommendations together. The tribal staff is going to wait and get all of the recommendations of the city, then go to the tribal council and see which ones they're comfortable with. And we're not going to be able to get back into an interactive, keep revising the plan, because that's now 6 years down the road.
Yeah, nor do I want to.
Yeah. So we're just going to make recommendations. We're not going to. We'll work with you to develop your recommendations next week that would then come back as specific recommendations, because none of those items have probably been resolved to each individual commissioner's satisfaction, because the tribe's position is one of, let's have a written recommendation from commission and council. Then we'll take a look at it, and then we'll make adjustments where we see them appropriate. But they really want to quit the interactive meetings, because they've been revising this, every 3 to 4 months now for a couple of years.
Yeah, so do I. So I guess we're going to make our list for the council, and then the council will send us back what they.
The council will
final
send
list
the
is,
final list to the tribal council.
Oh, so, okay, great. We don't have to see it again.
Yeah, and then if there's any substantial items, we may come back and, either just inform you what occurred, or there may be some need for commission, evaluation. But I think the goal of the planning staff and the tribal staff is to let's put together our best recommendations, move those up to the city council. They will do the same, looking at your recommendations, and then we may sit down with the tribe, council to council, if there's disagreements on those issues. And I don't think we're going to be too far off. At the end of the day, I'm very optimistic that, this plan is just fine-tuning away.
Mr. Evans, before I open the public hearing, do you have any other matters that you want to address in your staff report?
Just as a comment, there will be in Section 14 a new set of essentially zoning criteria. So our existing zoning designations, Mr. Chairman brought up one, retail or specialty retail entertainment office, REO. Those designations would be changed. We would no longer have our standard zoning map. We would replace the designations with the new designations and descriptions, and in Section 14 only. When you get to the implementation side of zoning, past the land use of what's permitted by right of zone or conditionally permitted or prohibited, and a basic set of performance standards, then the plan refers back to the existing zoning standards that we have for parking and signs and walls and those types of things. So it's really an augmentation of our existing program. And I think the key issue is, again, focuses in on the chairman's concern, and that is to make one designation per parcel. And the good news is most of those breaks are at streets. So we don't have the difficulty of having a property owner with half one designation and half the other, because that forces that owner into a very rigorous permit system that isn't very business friendly. I mean,
Well,
that's a challenge.
and I think all of those goals are laudable, and it's always going to be difficult. Well, let's open the public hearing, and then I may have another comment or two. We'll open the public hearing on this item. Is there anyone here wishing to address the commission on this item? If so, please come forward, give us your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and sign the clipboard when you leave.
Hi, my name's Mike Nichols. I live at 1294 Tiffany Circle North, and just sitting here observing, I find out I'm in that section, and having vacant property. My property backs up to Baristo, and across from me is a bunch of empty ground, and I wonder, will this change the zoning on that property to where maybe they can build 5 stories or some such thing? I guess that's just my concern.
Well, what I would suggest is if you could maybe come in on Monday and see Jing. If we get out early enough, we might be able to look at your parcel and show you how it affects your neighborhood. But those are the types of things we can certainly do over the counter.
Yeah. Just for your information, here is the specific plan. It's a very lengthy document, very involved. It is a well-done document, but in the end, what will happen is there will be 2 zoning ordinances in the city of Palm Springs. There'll be a zoning ordinance that governs all of the city except Section 14, and there'll be another zoning ordinance that will govern the properties within Section 14, and it's different from the city's ordinance. And it permits certain things within its zoning designations that are different from the uses permitted in the citywide zoning ordinance. So it's complicated in understanding how these 2 zoning ordinances are going to work together and how they will impact owners and leaseholders in Section 14. And that's one of the concerns I expressed, that people within Section 14 be aware of this, and if they have questions like you do, that they understand that they need to go to the planning department, they need to look at the book and figure out how this may impact them, so that their concerns can be made known. I mean, it's easy for us to say that this is all good planning and looks real good, but people whose properties may be directly impacted need to understand how this may affect their property.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just realized I'll be gone like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Are there any others that wish to speak on this subject?
Probably be able to answer your question, but it may be now.
Seeing none, we're going to close the public hearing and go back to the commission. There's no action needed on this today, as I understand it, Mr. Evans.
Mr. Chairman, we would continue the item to your meeting of...
This is January 14th.
Yeah, we need a little more time than that. It would be the 28th
Of January?
of January.
Move that we continue this item to the meeting of late January.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll need a roll call vote. Mr. Hokenadel?
Aye.
Ms. Conrad?
Aye.
Aye.
Ms. Morantz?
Aye.
And Mr. Schoenberger votes aye. So unanimously, motion passes unanimously, 4-0, 3 abstentions to continue the matter to that late January date. And Mr. Evans, I'll try to bring my questions, and I guess one of my main concerns right now is notice, and I don't know how we address that, but we might talk about it. And the other concern I have is that in trying to compare the zoning designations and the permitted uses in the specific plan to our existing zoning ordinance, it's hard to tell without putting the two together, which is a difficult process, where we might run into more of these conflicts. And I'm not sure how to address that other than if the staff, if Jing or any staff member has actually gone through that exercise and tried to figure out where the specific plan zoning designations will permit or not permit uses that are permitted under our existing zoning ordinance. I would like to be able to discuss those and know what they are and try to figure out how what impact they may have.
We will attempt to do that, Mr. Chairman. One of the dilemmas that we face is that means comparing hundreds of different land uses.
It's very difficult.
And I don't, I can tell you that that would be exhaustive.
Yeah, I mean,
to try to compare them all. Now, what we can do is try to look at the big picture items of, what are the primary land uses, and the issue of whether or not it's commercial or residential.
And then what are the permitted uses?
But boy, when you start getting into where a bakery might be and not be, I can tell you that that's weeks worth of very painful matrix work that I'm not sure at the end of the day for a big picture plan that really is intended to intensify land uses in certain areas, keep good buffers in others. At the end of the day, other than selecting some of the uses that might go in, it's a significant change. But we can take a look at hotel, commercial, office, retail, but as we get into those hundreds of different types of land uses, it's pretty tough to look at those. And most of those are tenant spaces, not land uses.
We may try to address it in the best way we can and spend some time on that at the workshop. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, I think we now have completed all the public hearings.
Oh, we have one more.
Number 7. Case 5.0983, application by Creative Beginnings Montessori Center for a conditional use permit to operate a state licensed daycare within the existing First Southern Baptist Church building for up to 45 children ages 2 through 6, operating Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., located at 1111 East Vista Chino, R2 Zone, Section 11. Staff report, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, you have a written staff report on this item. It's a fairly simple conditional use permit, which allows an outside entity, the Montessori Center, to come into an existing church and operate a state licensed daycare facility. All of the amenities are existing, so they're not changing anything. It's just a use relationship. Matthew will show you where they will be in the existing building, give you an idea where it is geographically.
Thank you. This is going to be a child daycare in the existing building in the First Southern Baptist Church. It was already approved in a previous CUP, and there are no modifications to it. It's just a change in use during Monday through Friday vacancy times. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for staff? If none, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to comment on this item, please come forward, give us your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and sign the clipboard. Anyone wishing to address the commission on this matter? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and go back to the commission for comments or action.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move approval of case 5.0983 in the conditional use permit, subject to the conditions in the staff report.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll need a roll call vote on that.
Hold on one second. School district owns property immediately adjacent.
I'll second then.
I think we have 2 abstentions.
Well, we better get our conflicts and our abstentions based on the school district.
Right next to Brandon Creek.
Yeah. Share a fence.
Okay.
So your employer's next door.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll have to abstain.
And Mr. Wright, I guess you will have to abstain as well. so we'll ask the two of you to excuse yourselves, and we will,
I'll repeat my motion now that Jerry's implicated himself.
Don't go far.
Don't go far.
and Ms. Conrad, you'll second?
Yes.
All right, so we have a motion second, and we'll have our roll call vote.
Mr. Hokanado.
Aye.
Ms. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Matthews.
Aye.
Ms. Morantz.
Aye.
Mr. Schoenberger.
Aye. So the motion passes 5-0, 2 abstentions. And we'll move on to item 9. This is case 3.2407, application by Gregis Y. Yosef for architectural approval for a fourplex apartment building located at 3889 Calle de Ricardo, R2 Zone, Section 19. Staff report.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. The location of this 4-unit apartment complex being proposed is just south of Ramon, this highlighted area here, east of El Vida Avenue and west of El Placer. It's currently a vacant land, as you see. It's kind of in the neighborhood of across the street from the Fat Burger and the airport car wash.
Fat Burger, yeah. It's okay. There's no such one. Avenida Dorotea.
Across the street from Fat Burger.
Kinda, yeah. The roof material, we have a S-tile blend here. And then here we have a stucco color, Scotch stone, and the accent color will be a chili pepper, and the trim will be a gray.
You guys are both okay.
Yeah, the lots are 120 foot wide.
Have you finished your staff report? Do we have it?
Sorry, yes, I am concluded. The applicant is present and would wish to comment on the conditions.
Thank you. Any questions of staff before we ask the applicant to address the commission?
What was design review's comment?
Design, it's in the conditions of approval. Design review's comment was to continue the banding like around the porch here, and I think continue the roof line, or applicant stating that deleting this gray area here.
That was it.
That was it, approved as submitted. Oh, and revised landscape plan.
And where's the parking for this fourplex?
It's bay parking on Calle de Ricardo, and it'll be decorative paving, and it does meet the parking requirement.
Right. So they've got covered bay parking?
No.
Not covered?
Code does not require apartment buildings to have covered parking, but there will be trees next to it, so there will be some shading, and it will be decorative paving.
Any other questions? The applicant wishes to address the commission? Come forward, please. Give us your name and address, please, and sign the clipboard when you're done.
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, my name is Imad Gurgis. I live at 2510 San Mateo Circle. I assisted the owner in preparing the application, and he asked me to just comment on couple of comments, and basically it's summarized in under engineering, item 2, 3, and 4, where the city engineer asked the applicant to dedicate a 2-foot easement. And basically, we talked to Mr. Barakian yesterday, and we suggested that we put in a rolled curb along the Ricardo instead of actually putting a depressed driveway. And he agreed with that, I think, and we just would like to put that on the record, that this is our concern. And so that's my first comment. My second comment is item 23 under the general conditions, where the applicant is being asked to put the overhead utilities underground. On the southerly property line, there is Edison line, and it would be extremely expensive to put that underground. And it says here that we can request a waiver on that because of a hardship. So those are the two comments on behalf of the applicant.
Mr. Evans.
Mr. Chairman, unless the commission has any questions on those items, I believe if you could just, in your motion, say conditions of approval 2 through 4 be adjusted per the city engineer's recommendation on rolled curb. He's already worked that through with the applicant. And then on item 23, we would recommend that you defer the undergrounding of utilities by covenant. It is an unrealistic expectation on a small lot like this. Even though the code says you have to do it, you have the authority to waive it, and we support that.
Just one last thing. Also, item 18 is related to that rolled curb.
Yeah.
Item 18 for the on-site, where it says the parking shall be relocated 2 feet south.
So it'd be 2 through 4 and 18.
18 and 23, we would revise, and we've worked those through with the applicant and the city engineer, so we're, with those changes, we recommend approval.
All right. Mr. Hokenadel.
On item 23, I would like to see wherever we're waiving the utilities being undergrounded, that at least they put conduit in at this point. So in the future, when everybody else does it, they already have a conduit laid on their property, and it'd be a cheap expense at this point just to put piping in and pull the wires when the rest of the neighborhood does it.
Yeah, it's in the rear property.
The challenge in this particular location is the utilities are on the rear lot line, and the conduit, if we ever undergrounded those utilities, Edison would put the utilities in the streets, so you'd have to run conduit all the way around. On lot-to-lot conditions, I'm not optimistic we're in the far distant future, we might underground those. But because you have to take the utility lines to the streets and redo the service and connections, it's pretty tough to do. So we just recommend a covenant in this case.
Have a motion? Anybody want to take a try?
Mr. Chairman, I
Mr.
recommend
Grants
approval.
looks like he's ready to roll.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Case number 3.2407 for approval with we're going to adjust conditions on engineering 2 through 4 based on conversations the applicant had with engineering, revising 18, and 23 will be deferred by covenant.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Good luck, gentlemen, with your project. We'll move to item 10, case 3.2410, application by Wade Ritchie for David Graham for architectural approval to build a new
Mr.
single...
Chairman, I just found out we have an applicant here that has a plane flight problem, and he's been very patient.
Which item?
That is Buntain 11.
Number 11, we'll call item number 11. Case 3.2322, application by Buntain Construction for architectural approval to construct 2 warehouse office buildings, 47,880 square feet and 41,040 square feet at 19071 and 1531 McLean Street, Zone M2, Section 15. Staff report.
Mr. Chairman and respected members of the commission, this is an application we've been entertaining for quite some time. The applicant has revised plans at our request. The building was changed where it actually faces the interior with bay parking when at our request, we realized that the scenic corridor of Highway 111 here on the south, or I-10, excuse me, on the south would impact the site that's highly visible. This is a quick 3D from the south and east corner of what you probably would be seeing from I-10 now. They've made a real effort in doing this. I had colored site plans, but because it's been revised, we've chosen to not put this colored up. These are very large structures. You can see 47,880 square feet, 41,040. It's a right by zone project, complies with our zoning ordinance. It's gone through design review. They were asked for 2 changes, one in regards to awnings and they've done that. The support for awning will just be a steel, very plain, very simple, that would comply with the building, and also to make the parapet level. They had a multi-level parapet. If you have any questions, I'll be pleased to answer those. Oh, excuse me. It's McLean and Orr. This is actually here, 20th. It's coming in here. Yeah, it's on the north side of the freeway. Right. This is the Orr Industrial Park.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Evans.
Just as a quick comment, this is a project that the applicant got, I think we all started off with a feeling the project had a little bit different location. And when we sat down with the applicant, we worked with them to flip the building around. They've been very cooperative. There are a couple of areas that, just so that the applicant understands that, as we get into final plans and final landscape plan, there's some perimeter walls that need some design attention. There's some planters that are going to be needed. The wall facing Indian Canyon needs some finesse, but I think the building was well received by design review. It will provide an outstanding land use opportunity up there and really be the first building fronting on Interstate 10. But the landscaping is going to take a little bit of effort. We're just going to encourage the applicant to get a good desert landscape architect so that we put materials in that will actually grow in the harsh conditions of this site and create a real nice showcase appearance for Interstate 10. We do recommend approval. The conditions of approval say this, but I've not had a chance to actually talk to the applicant. They've still got a few things to refine, but the building's in pretty good shape. But there may be some final adjustments in the site plan and landscape plan.
Does the applicant wish to address the commission? Thank you for being so patient.
Thank you.
You give us your name and address, please, and sign the clipboard when you leave.
Okay. Jared Short, 4531 Harlan Drive in Sacramento. Honorable Chairman, honorable members of the commission, thank you very much for working with me and bringing me forward so that I could come and address you and answer any questions you have. I took off last night and stayed in San Francisco, and then got up about 4 this morning to make it to SFO, Los Angeles, finally to Palm Springs about noon, and I'll get home about 11. But
great day to travel, too.
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't a lot of options today either, so I thought I was going to ask one of you to come over for Thanksgiving dinner if I had to stay down here. But thank you very much. And first of all, I'd just like to thank Mrs. Marks and Mr. Evans. It has been a pretty challenging process, somewhat because we're trying to get acclimated. The owners of this project, one being a local broker, have we've tried to get acclimated to the desert landscape and the theme and the architecture, and with the help of Ms. Marks and Mr. Evans and the design committee, we've gone to the design committee twice now, and we've made changes. Pretty much everything they've asked for, we just agreed to. We're not that picky. We want to have something that fits in, and we wanted to make sure that the building was functional, and we think it is. The latest change, and we have placed these buildings everywhere on the site that you possibly can. There's a 14-foot grade from one end to the other. So every time we did it, our complete set of grading drainage plans also had to be contemplated for retaining walls and wind and everything else. The latest change was originally we had the docks facing 20th Avenue, which is also I-10. And in talking to Mr. Evans and being sensitive to your needs and him letting me know what you were going to say about that, we went back to the drawing board about 4 weeks ago, and that's why I was kind of late in getting Kathy these landscape plans here in the end, is we did flip the building and put storefront along I-20 and landscaping, and the docks are now screened by the building. So the docks face in, the docks face away from I-20, so you won't see them. So that was our latest major change, but there's been a lot coming. Other than that, I can answer any questions for you, and I'd appreciate your support. Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
You've seen the conditions of approval, and the staff is asking that you bring back your landscape plan. You're aware of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The only comment I would make is to echo what Mr. Evans said. This looks like a real nice project, but you're going to be in some harsh, windy conditions out there, and you would be very well advised to get a very experienced desert landscape architect to do your landscaping for you. You're going to have to be careful what you plant out there that doesn't either get blown away or whatever. So that'd be very important. You don't want to have to do it 2 or 3 times. So
I appreciate that. We will.
Any other comments, motions?
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of case 3.2322, subject to the conditions of the staff report, and then also a restudy of the landscape plan, which, as far as I'm concerned, can come just back to the staff.
I'll second that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Good luck with your
Great.
project.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're close to the airport.
Hope you make your flight and get home for Thanksgiving dinner. Okay.
Take care. Thank you.
We'll take up item 10, case 3.2410, application by Wade Ritchie for David Graham for architectural approval to build a new single-family residence at 520 Camino Calidad, R1A zone, section 22. Staff report.
Mr. Chairman, I have to abstain on this item. We own property in this neighborhood area.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. The location of this project is basically at the end of Ramon. It's on a corner lot, Ramon and Camino Calidad. They will have access from Camino Calidad, and that's their front yard. This picture that you see here is the view that they're looking from the pool out towards the mountains. These are the 2 neighbors in the rear you have here, and this is this neighbor on this side of his yard. Applicant does meet setback requirements, and height of building is 18 feet. It's not going higher than that. He is asking for a 20-foot front yard setback. An AMM will be required by that. We have worked with the applicant to have the rear massing that you see here is his original submittal, and he has kind of broken it up. So this part of the backyard here is moved over, and he's moved basically the whole building over, so his neighbors, he won't be impeding into his neighbors' views as much. I did send a notice. No one from the neighborhood came and looked at the plans. I did go out in the field this morning and talk to one of the neighbors, and is aware that this building is going up. Another thing that they did from those is the roof plan. You notice how in the rear elevation here, it's a straight plane all the way across. So they've lowered the massing to give the rear neighbors more view towards these beautiful mountains over here. Any other questions? And that concludes my presentation.
But did Design Review have any comments on it?
Design Review liked the project. It's a good design. The only comments was moving the home, getting it away from the rear, and the applicant complied with that.
Thank you.
Did you talk to the homeowner that is affected by that rear?
Yes, I spoke with one of them this morning, and he's aware.
They're
I
okay?
guess I guess they recently bought the property, and they're aware that sooner or later that property will be developed, and there is a story pool out there, even though it was leaning and not quite the height it should be, but it kind of indicated where the home will be going, and they were aware of
the
that.
rear yard setbacks are met?
The minimum is 15 feet. I think they're at 22 feet. So.
And they're within the height
Yes,
restriction?
correct.
Any other comments?
So they're within the height restriction for the building, but what's the pad height compared to the neighboring properties?
Between pad heights, it's about 7 feet from one neighbor to the other. The neighbor to the east is down 10 feet. 7 feet.
This neighborhood, the lots on Fern Canyon, most of them were dug out so that they could have a flat backyard. So they lowered the lots over natural grade. On this side, they're up because they're trying to come in off of Camino Caidad. We did ask the applicant to lower it. I don't recall the original.
He did lower it about. He submitted a pad at 520. He has it down to 517. He lowered it 3 feet.
Yeah, so we were out there and pushed it down to where we think it's as reasonable. If you take a look at, as you walk down the street, the next adjoining property has that same grade relationship. It's up above. It's designed a little bit differently. It doesn't have the mass of the building at the rear yard. They've got some recreation amenities in the rear. The applicant put the story pole up, and it's my understanding Mr. Ritchie met with both neighboring property owners so that they're aware of where the building is and how tall it will be. And the story pole was set up based upon pad height, not an 18-foot high structure from the existing grade. In this neighborhood, I can tell you that Gabriel and I will be out at least 2 or 3 times during construction explaining how to read plans versus what it looks like when it's built. I've been on every site a minimum of 3 times working with neighbors. And we've generally worked everything out in the field. But most people are surprised when the dirt shows up. They're surprised when they tilt the wall up. And, I've not been able to get anybody to really understand that until they see it. And that's the reality of hillside development. We sent letters. We asked the applicant to meet. We've done everything we can to give the neighboring owners an opportunity to come and look at the plans or come and protest. They know the meeting date.
Do we have anybody here wishing to speak on this item?
I'm Wade Ritchie, the designer, and I did speak with the people directly behind us on the corner, Fern Canyon and Ramon Road, and the wall, their rear wall in the very back of their property is over 8 feet in height, and it's actually about another foot higher than their pad elevation. So they're already, our pad level, the proposed pad level for the house will actually be below their wall, where before we were actually above it about 2 feet. So they did understand. I went over the plans with them, like Doug was explaining. Even talking to them about the plans does not mean they really understand and see it. But they did. They were receptive. They did know that eventually somebody would build a project there, and I spent about 45 minutes with the clients, with the people, I should say.
Okay. Any questions?
I'm going to vote no, just because, and with all due respect, I think that one way to mitigate this is by a less massive building, and it's not, it's, you know.
It's pretty big.
Anyway, it's obviously, it's just, it's going to be extremely massive, but I don't mean to impugn your architecture or anything, but, sorry.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions, comments, motions?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to move for approval of case 3.2410, the application by Wade Ritchie and Dave Graham for architectural approval of to build a new single-family residence at 520 Camino Calidad, subject to the conditions of approval by staff.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further comment? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We have 5-1, one abstention. Good luck with your project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That takes care of all of the items on the agenda, I believe, I hope. I think we're down to, unless somebody sees one, we're to item 13, Commission Work Program. And Mr. Evans, any report on that item?
No, Mr. Chairman, we've given you reports as we've gone. We don't have any additional reports on any work program items at this time.
City Council update.
Mr. Chairman, the council did not have a meeting this week, or will not have a meeting this week for regular business, and the new council will start business next Wednesday.
Very good. Commission staff reports and requests.
I think I'm going to become the next Ralph Rea, huh? I do not recall the name of the hotel, but it used to be the Givenchy. They've just installed some really rather garish-looking par 38 lights. You just shoot out and see them right from the highway at night. And my other little project that I mentioned last week that was on the corner of Bellardo and Baristo, those lights are all still there, very, you know, and I know that we want to be friendly with the community in that, but we do have a wonderful lighting program in place, and I would just hope that lighting program isn't going to go away. I understand there's security issues, but I think there's got to be some mitigation somewhere along the line.
Anyone else? Mr. Hoganadel?
Yes, I have a concern on an issue, and that is these people that are cleaning parking lots at 3 o'clock in the morning with these vacuum trucks and leaf blowers. Is there anything we could do for some kind of time schedule where they could do that? Because usually, you know, I wake up in the middle of the night and, you know, that's okay. But then when I can't go to sleep because this thing is whining for 2 hours cleaning up parking lots, sort of becomes a quality of life issue. And there's people that live a lot closer to these lots than where I'm at, and I know, you know, it has to wake them up. And I went up there, it was 3:20 in the morning, and there's a guy with a leaf blower blowing out the planters, and there's a guy in a big vacuum truck going around behind him and cleaning everything up. And so if there's anything we could do to look into that issue.
It would be a violation of the city's
noise
equipment
ordinance.
hours. We would have to know the location and the days, and we'd have to have the police make that contact. I mean, you know, while they're doing it, if maybe after the meeting you could tell me which property, we could have community preservation out of the building department contact the property owner. The challenge with commercial parking lots is they have to do them before the cars show up. And so it's either in the middle of the night, which is when that industry typically does big commercial projects, or they do it very early in the morning. And so it's a one of those ones that it just doesn't quite fit.
Right.
Yeah, but if you could tell me after the meeting which property, we'll see if we can get to the property manager and get them to readjust their schedule.
Other comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, we normally don't try to have a planning commission meeting on the December 4th or 24th date. We do have some business that we would like to conclude this year and some applicants that are anxious. We would hope the commission could have a special meeting on December 17th. And we'll have at least 2 or 3 public hearings. We've got a lot of business coming, and we'd like to keep it moving.
On the 17th?
17th?
Oh, dear.
Figured you were going to do that.
And not the 24th, or 17th and the 24th?
Not the 24th.
All right.
No, we would not have we'd have a special meeting on the 17th and then cancel the meeting on the 24th.
Is there 1:30 regularly scheduled meeting?
Yeah, I think we're going to have enough business. We probably want to start regular time.
I have to move a doctor's appointment, but I will.
Yeah, I'm going to have to change deposition, but I'll try to make the arrangement.
17th is good for me.
Okay, thank you.
And I just scheduled today because I didn't have anything on the calendar, but we'll figure something out. Anybody else? Anything else? Mr. Davis, we're happy to see you. We'll see you next Wednesday at we're going to have a special study session, so we'll hope to see you there. And if that's it, nothing else, the meeting's adjourned. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and to staff as well.
Yes.